All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Jeff here. Dan, what's going on, man?
Oh man, going. it's
Yeah.
hopefully I'm just waiting for springtime, man, over this winter, that's for sure.
Uh, I'm just gonna catch you off guard here. Uh, we don't talk enough Raiders on this pod. I never get your Raiders takes. Derek Carr's gone. We kind of already projected that on a pod that you were on. I think it was episode 200. We talked about Derek Carr. Do you have a current want at quarterback for the Raiders? Tom Brady retired. Derek Carr is gone. It almost feels rookie or somebody else at this point. I was just kind of, I know I'm catching you off guard here. We're going to talk about this, but I seen the Raiders helmets and thought about it.
Oh yeah, well, to be honest, I was kind of hoping for Aaron Rodgers. And
Okay.
being a Raiders fan, we've obviously had our struggle since the John Gruden era, part one, and since that Super Bowl loss, we've taken our bruises, and now I just want to win now. So even if we were able to get Rodgers for like 2 prime years, uh, where we're contenders, I would be all for it. But as of right now, it looks like he's, back from his hippie getaway, and he's probably staying in Green Bay, and so that really leaves you like, Jimmy Garoppolo, which to me would be kind of a lateral move from Derek Carr, in my opinion. I wouldn't hate it, I wouldn't love it. And if we go rookie route, um, you know, that makes me a little bit more nervous because
Why?
Jarrett Stidham's there, and not every rookie works out, and I want someone, because like I said, to go back to just waiting for someone, I want someone proven right now. And if we get a rookie, um, I just don't know if we're going to be able to really compete right away with him. I'm not a big fan of Bryce Young mostly because of his height, and CJ Stroud. I mean, is he going to be really just another this
Buckeye
aura of
quarterback in the
outside
NFL.
quarterbacks being asked?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are projecting that we take Will Levis, and I'm not really high on Will Levis either. But
Vegas Raiders are on the clock. They take CJ Stroud. What is your initial feeling at that moment?
you know what? I'll be kind of like, son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah, that's intriguing, man. I was almost in your boat, dude. I thought for a minute there that New England was going to draft Justin Fields back a couple years ago, and they ended up
Yeah.
taking Mac Jones. But it's like they got real close there. And I knowing what I know now, I think it's a toss up. One's really good on his legs. One's decent with his arm. I mean, both have their work cut out for them in the NFL. But one more question before we talk some actual Michigan stuff here. Have you got a chance to see, only because you brought up Aaron Rodgers, the where he stayed in his darkness retreat?
Where he
You've seen
stayed.
the photos? You haven't seen
No.
the photos on Twitter or anything like that? Okay, I almost feel like I couldn't ask you this question. I'll give you a quick brief. Okay,
Yeah.
imagine looking. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're literally in a mountain. Okay, and all of a sudden there's like a door, and you can clearly tell there's a building that's sculpted in this mountain. Okay, you go in. It is a studio apartment. There's a bed, there's a jacuzzi tub, there's a shitter, and then there's a small area in the corner with a yoga mat slash like meditation mat. And they bring you your food, and there are candles. Okay, I'm not done. Knowing what you know, he was supposed to be there 4 days. He stayed 2. How long could you go? How long could you stay there, you think?
Uh,
In the darkness. In the darkness.
no, I'd take my luggage and I'd call an Uber and get the hell out of there.
I'll have to tag you in the photos on Twitter. I can't believe you haven't seen this. I retweeted this shit and everything.
No,
Oh
I
gosh.
don't know. When did Rodgers become such a goofball, man? I don't know. It's just
Honestly, you want to know when? As soon as Mike McCarthy left, the guy that he blamed for being basically like his downfall. And Mike McCarthy's over there competing with the Cowboys, and Aaron Rodgers is, I mean, he did win back-to-back MVPs, but holy cow,
Right.
the hallucinogens, the darkness rooms, oh goodness, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a chance to go to face off at the lake. It was the Michigan-Ohio State outdoor hockey game at Cleveland Brown Stadium. Really good time. We rolled up 6 deep, 3 Buckeyes, 3 Wolverines, and hell of a day. Michigan drops 4-2. Overall, I had a good time. What are your opinions on the outdoor hockey game? That was your second one, I believe.
Outdoor,
Yeah, obviously Hughes didn't play, Luke Hughes. Opinions on how Michigan did in that game versus what your expectations were. Elaborate on the game a little bit here.
Yeah, I thought Michigan was gonna, have their ducks in a row. They were on I believe a 6-game, 4. I can't remember if it was 4 or 6, but I think we were on a 5 or maybe 5. I don't know. Anyways, they're on quite a winning streak. And going in there, I felt like they had a lot of momentum. But Thursday, before that, a couple days prior to the Saturday's game, they dropped one in overtime versus Ohio State in Columbus. So Columbus kind of had their momentum going there for them, and Michigan kind of just came out flat in the face-off game, and Michigan was I think they spent second period pretty much on the power play the entire game, entire second period, and they tried to battle back. They had a couple of goals there at the end, but it was a neutral site game, but it sure as hell felt like an Ohio State game because of obviously the proximity of where it's at in Cleveland, Ohio, and the announcers were treating it like Ohio State Arena. So I mean, I don't know why I felt like going in that I thought it was going to be more of a neutral field, but I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. I mean, Ohio State fans didn't really. I mean, they got spanked by Michigan 2 years ago in football, so I guess they can hang their hat on this one. But not Hughes there is huge. I mean, he's their best player. He's their best defensive man as well, and it is what it is. Those games are usually high scoring, a lot of action, and the only thing that was kind of a bummer about it was as the sun was going down behind the stadium when we were getting a little bit colder outside. That's when they paused play 2 different times for like 20 minutes because there was a problem with the ice and the boards on the corners there. So they had to, try to fix that real quick. But other than that, man, it was a good time. 3 Buckeyes, 3 Wolverines, and hockey's awesome. Outdoor hockey, it's a fun way to experience it.
Yeah. So I believe Michigan, after the regular season was over, they were the number 2 seed in the Big Ten. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
So they're going to be playing Wisconsin next weekend or this coming weekend.
Yep.
How does the Big Ten tournament look right now?
So right now the Big Ten tournament, in Big Ten hockey, it's
hockey tournament,
still newly formed. So there's only 7 teams in this Big Ten, and Notre Dame's included. Michigan just dropped 2 heartbreakers in Notre Dame this past weekend at home. One was I think both were in shootouts or something like that, and so it was a rough go to end the regular season. But Minnesota is the number 1 seed, so they get a first round bye, and Notre Dame comes in with the 4 seed playing Michigan State, the 5 seed. Michigan's playing Wisconsin, the 7th seed, and Ohio State, the 3rd, is playing Penn State, the 6th. And every one of these first round games is a best of 3 series this weekend. And then after that, when you advance, it's single elimination all the way to essentially the Frozen Four. So Michigan took care of business against Wisconsin already this year at home. So hopefully they sweep them and advance. And the cool thing is now with the NCAA tournament, each conference, I believe, can have more than 1 school represent. So beforehand, when Michigan was still with the CCHA, whoever won the conference got to go to the tournament, and no runner-ups, no second place. So if Michigan or whoever had a good season, but they fell short in the second place, they got to wait till next year. And so it's kind of like how college football used to be. There was no consolation prize. So, being the 2 seed, whatever, again, Wisconsin's a good draw, but playing Ohio State again or Penn State, even at the 6th, that's going to be a tough draw. So it's going to be a fun conference tournament, and Michigan has beaten every one of these teams in this year at least once. So they have done it, and they just got to get their things together.
So as far as the first round best 2 out of 3, like you stated, are all the games in Ann Arbor? Or how does that go? Does it go 1-1-1, or does it go 2-1, or how does that go?
Each game is going to go to one team's got home ice. So Michigan State's got home ice. Actually, I take that back. I don't know about that. I know Michigan's got home ice for both games against Wisconsin. I'd assume it's across the board. So with Notre Dame being the higher seed, I could be in South Bend. With Ohio State being the higher seed, could be in Columbus. So,
well, time out. As it pertains to Michigan, so Michigan's going to play Wisconsin. What
Yep.
happens if it's 1-1? Where's the third game at?
In Ann Arbor.
All three of them would be in Michigan.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. All right. Next question. So if Michigan moves on, beats Wisconsin, where's that next game? Is that in Ann Arbor, or does that change? Is that like a neutral site, or how does that work?
Every game goes to the higher seed. So with them being the number 2 seed, they should have home ice all the way until they play Minnesota, if anything.
And if Minnesota were to lose, Michigan would have home ice the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that's how the Big Ten championship or the Big Ten tournament works in hockey. That's good. So yeah, as far as the new structure, multiple teams can get in. Do you think Michigan's making the tournament no matter what at this point? Right? It would have to take a massive downfall.
Yeah, even what they have with the little bumps on the road here at the end of the year, I think they're still 6th in the country or 4th in the country. And I think there's only 20 teams in the NCAA tournament, so I don't think Michigan will have a problem getting in.
Okay. Did you hear me?
No, you broke up a little bit there. Go ahead.
Sorry. Anything else on hockey before we move to men's hoops?
Nope. All other than me trying to go to one of these 2 games this weekend for sure, but that's it for hockey.
So as far as men's hoops goes, there's actually 2 more games. We haven't even talked about these ones when we did the last pod, but regardless, this Thursday they're going to play at Illinois. Illinois is 19-10. This is their only meeting of the season, so these 2 teams have not played yet. Okay, that's a Big Ten game. 19-10. We're trying to get to that 19th win. I believe we're currently 18-11, if I'm not mistaken. We're gonna look it up real quick. We're 17-12. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, we're 17-12. Sunday. Okay, they have ranked Indiana, so they're at Indiana. Indiana's 20-9 on the year. The last time they played was just literally last week. I believe it was last week. They lost 62-61 at home. Nail biter down to the end. Unfortunately, Michigan kind of let another one slip. But as far as this last game, or the last 2 games, I believe. So they went to Rutgers, played Rutgers really tough and beat Rutgers. And then on Sunday, home against Wisconsin. They had already dropped Wisconsin on the road. And it takes a Hunter Dickinson desperation 3 for the tie. They go into overtime and they crush and they win the game. So kind of riding a 2-game win streak here. How do you feel about them going on the road at Illinois? Kind of a weird basketball rivalry we've had over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
We've shared a Big Ten title. They've gotten one. We've gotten one. It's definitely at least a Twitter rivalry, if anything else. But what are your opinions on going to Illinois?
Well, don't forget, real quick, the Michigan State, so they're on a 3-game win streak.
Yeah, you're right.
But Illinois, playing in Champaign, the Orange Crush, the student section for Illinois. I mean, they're great. It's a hostile environment in Illinois. They've dropped a few games they shouldn't have, but they've notched earlier in the year a win against UCLA when they were 8, Texas when they were 2. So they have a good resume. They're going to be most likely in the tournament. But Terrence Shannon is averaging 17 points a game. The way Michigan's played these last 3 games, I think they definitely have a shot. They've played a lot of teams really close. It's just a matter of closing these out. And I want to say I'm really confident, but I feel like if they play the way they did against these last 3 games, I 100% think they can go in there and sneak a W. And for Michigan to make the tournament still, I feel like they have to win out. When we did that pod last time, whatever, we forgot to talk about these last 2. It was actually 7, not 5 games. And I said that they had to at least win, 4 of the next 5. And I really feel like now they have to win, 6 of the next 7 here in complete, total. So I think Illinois is just about as tough test as playing in Indiana.
Yeah, these are both going to be tough games. I wish I had Michigan's road record in front of me, but I don't. It's bad though. It's not
Five.
good.
Three
What
and
is it?
five. 3-5.
Yeah, it's tough. That's tough. I like their chances at Illinois. It just feels like one of those games where you just have to have it. At Indiana, Assembly Hall. That's a tough game, man. That's a good basketball team over there. I think they're currently ranked. Yeah, they're still ranked 15th in the country. So, it's a tough environment. Regardless, I think that Michigan, if they can get these next two, I think they're in. As it stands right now, before these games are even played, let me read you the Big Ten tournament. So there's always 4 teams that get a double bye. Right now, those teams are Purdue, 1 seed, and then it's Maryland, the 2 seed. Or no, I think Michigan's the 2 seed. Sorry. Michigan is the 2 seed. Okay. Weirdly enough,
Yeah.
people don't realize this. In the basketball, Michigan's the 2 seed, even before Indiana. Okay. And Illinois. I believe Northwestern, is the 3, and then Maryland's the 4. Or Maryland's the 3. Regardless, Michigan has a double bye. As it states right now, they would play the winner of the Minnesota-Wisconsin matchup would move on to play Iowa. So they would play one of those 3 teams. I like our chances against all 3 of those teams. That's got to feel great. Then they'd have to play the winner of Nebraska, Rutgers, Maryland. I love our chances in all of those games. And then we'd only, because of how this tournament shakes out, we'd only have to play the winner of one of these teams. Ohio State, Penn State, those ones are easy. Michigan State feels 50-50-ish.
Yeah.
Illinois, Indiana, Northwestern, Purdue. Really, as long as Michigan can kind of stay in this 2 seed, we need some chaos. We need to win at least one of the 2. Gosh, man, I mean, I think I read that they could be either the 1 seed or the 9 seed based off of how all these games land.
Yeah.
The 1 or the 2 feels great to me. Obviously, things are going to really shake up. This isn't by any means set in stone. So, keys going forward this season in order to make the tournament / the Big Ten tournament / the main dance, keys going forward that you think are almost vital for this team to make some sort of a run.
Consistency, making your free throws, and not turning the ball over. Turning the ball over, obviously, that's going to be bad for anybody. Consistency is them not being able to close out close games when they should have won. They've, even in the beginning of the year, they should have beat North Carolina. They should have beat Kentucky. They didn't. And hitting free throws, they're still hovering. I don't know the exact numbers, but I feel like they're hovering around the same tier as when they went to the national championship in 2018, when Mohamed Rahman had to essentially carry them through at the charity stripe the whole season, because outside of him at being like an 88% free throw shooter, they were like 75 mid range, and it's just that you can't do that. I mean, they made it to. I mean, they proved that you can get to the. You can go deep without being successful at the free throw or being lethal there. But with the way this team's built, they need every point they can get, every opportunity they can. They have to make their free throws, and as long as another one too is Kobe Buffkin, with Chet Howard being kind of in and out of the lineup lately after his injury. Like, Kobe Buffkin has really excelled, and even when they lost to the Wisconsin game, whatever, he's going 20 points plus, and he had a huge monster game against Wisconsin. And if he's playing the way he's doing, he's probably going to be a first rounder in the NBA draft, and we're going to miss him when he's gone. So I feel like if he can really take it on, and I think he'd be a solid glue here for the tournaments.
After the game, when Hunter hit that 3, they go in, they win overtime. against Wisconsin, Hunter Dickinson was asked, "Have you seen the clip or no?"
Which one? No.
So Hunter Dickinson was asked on a live mic whether he thought this was his last game at Chrysler. You haven't seen that clip?
I read a headline somewhere.
Okay, I watched the clip. It legit takes him off guard for a second. And it's got Wolverine fans wondering, and it's got me wondering. The way he reacted, I don't think he thinks this is his last season. I think we're going to get a fourth year Hunter Dickinson. Now, this is a whole nother conversation that we could spend, damn near another quarter of the pod on. But the way that the big men in the NBA are today, Hunter Dickinson isn't going to be a highly coveted piece. Not because he's not a good player, not that he can't play basketball. It's just like big men, even the best big men, aren't that coveted. You have your Jokic and you have your Giannis. Giannis is athlete, obviously, like super athletic and stuff like that. And Jokic can do a lot of different things. I just right now I see Hunter as a player that can just take advantage of another year of NIL in return for his senior season. Opinions on that?
I think he could go. I think he'd be fine in the NBA. I personally, of course, I would love to have him back. That's another position you don't have to worry about really. You can rely on him for everything, but I feel like he can get easily drafted if he goes. Again, the only thing that I've ever knocked him on really is is sometimes he very not good at boxing out and playing defense down low. But I'd take him with open arms if he wants to come back.
So 2013 team, if you remember correctly, that team started to really catch fire when they made the move from Jordan Morgan to Mitch McGary. And not that Jordan was bad, just Mitch was more of a compliment to what Trey Burke was trying to do. And Jordan ended up being a great big man off the bench, ended up making a critical charge, if I'm not mistaken. He took a charge against, I believe it was Syracuse. Regardless, opinions on the two big men lineup between Tarris Reed and Hunter. I feel like when that's been on the floor, it's been a game changer. And I almost wonder if Juwan went to that lineup, what the success would be moving forward. I feel like where we're at right now, I feel like we have to start looking for an edge, and that might, this team's not good enough to make a deep run without making some sort of change, and I feel like that could be the change. Opinions on that?
Yeah, Tarris Reed is kind of limited. He's still really raw, and he doesn't have a lot of tricks in his bag offensively, in terms of post moves and stuff like that. But he's a great compliment to Hunter when he needs a rest. And Tarris Reed has really come on strong as a shot blocker, rebounder,
high energy
guy. I mean, he is kind of still iffy at the free throw line, which makes you worried in crucial moments. But I mean, right now I feel like he is knocking on the door of Moussa Diabate from last year. Now, granted, I know they're different in some ways, but I definitely need someone off this bench to take flight here. And Tashaner, kind of a fan favorite there for a little bit, really hasn't lit up the scoreboard in terms of points, but one of these guys is going to really have to come on strong. And real quick too, before I pass it back, someone who I think that it could be a huge a scoring option here in the tournament if they hopefully get lucky enough to get in the big dance is Joey Baker. Like if Joey Baker, he can come off the floor, off the bench, and hit like 3 or 4 threes in his time, be absolutely monumental.
Yeah, the one thing that I think has always done Michigan well, we've talked about this a lot, teams that don't play Michigan regularly and you don't do your film study and all of a sudden there's a shooter that gets lost and they're able to impact an NCAA tournament game. And this goes for every team. I'm not just talking Michigan, like Michigan does something that's so special. But over the last several years, Michigan has had multiple shooters. They don't have that now, but they do have Joey Baker. And it just makes me wonder if they're able to kind of squeak into the NCAA tournament in the first round matchup, Joey Baker hits 2 threes, and that's enough to kind of propel them. You know what I mean? It's just like stuff like that. Doug McDaniel, we haven't talked about him at all on this pod. He has made leaps and bounds jumps from the first several weeks of the year. To be fair, I can't imagine how hard it must be to think that your role is probably 10 minutes at best per game to start the year.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's 35 minutes a game. And you got to remember, he literally got thrown in against, you already talked about it, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky. I'm forgetting one. There was another big time school in there early on in the schedule. And it's like, man, this kid's getting eaten alive. And it's not to necessarily his fault. You know, there's growing pains. If ultimately, I think McDaniel has played good enough to learn some things. If we can make a move in this tournament and get in, I think that Michigan could surprise some people. Not because I think that they're this world-beating team. I just think that they have some untapped potential.
Oh, 100%. McDaniel had a great game against Rutgers. You know, I think his mom liked my tweet because I was praising Doug. I said he had a great game against Rutgers. I mean, 14 points. He had 1 block. He had 3 steals. Or excuse me, I'm looking at Cody Buffkin. Sorry, McDaniel had 16 points, 5 steals, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. So I mean, he was. I think Michigan had 10 steals in total against Rutgers. Man, they locked them down in that game. That was probably Michigan's best game all year defensively. And I know Rutgers has been kind of going through some growing pains lately, but yeah, Doug McDaniel is obviously a huge contributor. And you know, the cool thing about, or the unique thing about the 2013 Michigan team, and you know, I text message you that like a 25-minute highlight video of that tournament run, and it's like, you're right. Like once Stauskas goes off the floor, you got Karis LeVert that can come on, sink threes. When he goes off the floor, Spike Albrecht can come on and hit threes. Like there was a never-ending barrage of 3-point shooters, and obviously that was how BLM played basketball: 1 forward and 5 or 4 guards, and that was a beauty of that team, is like they were just sniping you from every angle. And you know, Trey Burke was something really special, and he had this connection with Mitch McGary, and it came out at the right time. Like that pick and roll they did was like virtually unstoppable. That whole Big Ten tournament and that national championship run, and you know, it brings a tear to my eye, man, because that team was so special, and it sucks that the way it ended, but it was some memories that you just remember, and you know, kudos to those guys, because that was a fun season.
Yeah, you got to think, like, this is one of Michigan's, I think there's 2 seasons that stand out. There was a season that Walton and Karis LeVert both got hurt. The team was completely stake bitten. I believe, off the top of my head, that feels like 16. I could be wrong. That team was bad, not good at all. Very young, and like I said, injury snake bitten. And then there's this team that's just kind of underperformed, and it makes you wonder. I feel like we pop back up after this season, but at the same time, like we're on 5 straight Sweet 16 appearances. This team, I feel like, has to be given some sort of street cred. Last year they squeaked in, I believe it was 19 wins, or maybe it was 18. People ripped them apart. Like, you let Michigan in and then they go to the Sweet 16. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I feel like Michigan needs a little bit of that street cred again this year. I would let them in with 18 or 19 wins, truthfully. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I know everything has to be considered year by year. As of right now, I forget the guy that does all this, but we're considered the last team in. I just seen that after where we're at right now with 3 straight wins. I do think no matter what, they need at least 1 more of these next 2, and then it would help to get a Big Ten tournament win too.
Yeah.
If they can win these next 2, I think we're almost a lock in, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But one of these in a Big Ten tournament win, I feel like would be nice too. If you remember last year, we went last game of the year beating Ohio State in order to kind of earn our way in. So
yeah. We'll see what happens, man. And you know, this Big Ten tournament is kind of wide open at the moment. I know, there's like 5 teams tied for second, and they're only games away from first place. Purdue was on a 9-game win streak in the middle of the year, and they've kind of, hit a few. I think they lost 3 games here in the last 7 or so, and so they showed they're vulnerable. Indiana's got them twice now, and they have to go at Wisconsin and play Illinois. So Purdue, they have their tests for them, and we'll see if they can go 1-2 or 2-0. And I'm not saying that Michigan should strive for, first place is, I don't think, out of the possibility. I think though, because of the tiebreakers. But anyways, Michigan should just keep their focus on winning, and anything's possible at this point.
Anything else on men's hoops before we keep going?
I'm good there.
What do you got on spring football notes?
So yeah, I believe students right now are on spring break, but they I think had 2 or 3 practices, and so a very bite-sized news and notes coming out of there. Davis Warren, Jack Tuttle, the Indiana transfer. They're the 2 stringers right now, trying to battle for that spot. Amarian Walker has probably got the biggest hype right now. He is, I guess he played a little DB last year. I didn't really notice when he came in late for those September games, I believe. But he's really impressing with his size and speed, and looks like he's going to be moving to more on the defensive back side.
Yeah, but Harbaugh's been praising him as a starter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
so not only is he moving over there, he's going to start apparently. So it sounds like it's going to be Will Johnson, Walker, and then in your slot, it's going to be Sanders still.
Yep. And so Blake Corum's still not 100%, so I don't think he's going full pads yet. Ladarius Henderson, the Arizona State offensive lineman, he will be with the team during the summer. And Miles Hinton and Drake Nugent, the Stanford transfer offensive lineman, I believe they are recovering from injuries from their time out there west. And so they're not there yet 100%. And then this still leaves 6 to 7 guys rotating in practice right now. So, guys like Giovanni El-Hadi, Keegan, stuff, guys like that. And I think Crippen was getting in there, Jeff Percy. So they got familiar faces in there, but obviously not everyone's there, not yet, at least.
As far as Warren and Tuttle, do you have a rooting interest there?
Not really. I think Jack Tuttle might eventually get the second string nod because of his experience.
You'd think.
I think, but I don't really know much about them, and I haven't really seen or heard a lot about them yet. I'll have to look at what Tuttle did at Indiana. I don't think he started right off the get, but I don't really have a rooting interest there at all.
So
I actually was kind of wondering. When I was reading, this is all from Rivals, by the way. I didn't see Alex Orji's name, so I was kind of looking at that.
Yeah. So last year at the spring game, the Maize vs. Blue, Cade McNamara took snaps for both sides. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Davis Warren did not wear. So Cade wore an all-white uniform, basically couldn't be hit.
Yeah.
Okay. But Davis Warren suited up in a solid color. He was able to be contacted. Davis played fantastic. I think a lot of the fans thought the same thing. In a lot of people's opinions, earned the third string role at the time behind. It was supposed to be JJ and then Cade and then Warren. Then obviously Cade goes down, and Davis Warren named as the backup, and it's like he looks pretty good. As you alluded to, Alex Orji, I wonder. I ultimately wonder what the future is for him as a starting quarterback at Michigan. It almost feels like that can't be a thing. Only because you have JJ, right? So he's going into his junior year.
Yeah.
All right. I personally don't project him leaving for the NFL, but I mean, I guess crazier things have happened. So which means he'd play till his senior year. Orji then would be a junior that year. And I know in 2024 they've been trying to get Jaden Davis, and I would almost envision him maybe starting at some point, or Davis Warren at that point would earn at least 1 year starting. I don't know. Alex Orji just feels like the odd guy out. He does feel like a goal line threat, though.
Yeah, probably special package guy. Yeah, it's unfortunate because there's a lot. I mean, even with Cade McNamara leaving, there's a lot of things to show for running. And Tuttle's already a senior, so I think he's got this 1 year left as eligibility. So, it won't be here for long term. And according to College Football Reference, whatever, even though he doesn't have any stats for the Utah Utes, I guess he originally committed to Utah in 2018, and so he's been with Indiana ever since. I don't think he's really played a starting role. I mean, he's played in 15 games, 5 touchdowns, 6 picks. So,
so he didn't start at all with them.
No, so last year I believe Indiana started Connor Bazelak, and he was the kid that transferred from Wake Forest or something. And so yeah, Tuttle was always getting mop up duty.
Why would you, the end of your college career where you've never got really an opportunity to compete for a starting spot, why would you go to a place that has a for sure QB1? That seems weird to me.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let's see where he's from.
Unless it's strictly for education purposes, which obviously I'm not trying to discredit anybody. That's a fantastic reason to go to Michigan by all means, but
right, yeah, it's let's see, not giving any bio of where he's from, if he was born in Michigan or not, like that, but
yeah,
it definitely could be a school thing, whatever. But I think Alan, Alan, that he just transferred wherever he's been a few different places too. So I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not trying to discredit Michigan's education program like I feel like I just did. It's a great idea if you want to come be coached. Well, you're probably not going to play, but you can get a world-class education. It makes a ton of sense to go to Michigan. So
yeah.
Anything else?
Do you want to let the folks know what?
Yes. I don't think we have a for sure date, but we are 100% going to have a mini series. We've kind of talked briefly about this. We haven't really gone into a bunch of detail, but this summer we're going to be giving our top 20 Jim Harbaugh era Michigan games. So obviously, the ones that are going to be featured, the wins over Ohio State these last 2 years, the Big Ten championship games. But we're also going to feature some of these lost in the rough games from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We're going to give our top 20. So basically, Dan's going to give his list. I'm going to give my list. We're going to take the average of those and try to create a list and get those into a podcast series. I don't know how many it's going to be. Might be 2 episodes, might be 3, might be 4. 4 seems like the magic number. There'll be some honorable mentions in there too. We're excited about this. I think it's going to get rolling here. If I had to guess, probably May. We'll probably roll that out. Let spring practice kind of get into a thing and come to a close, and we'll probably bust that out over the course of May into June. So, yeah, opinions on that?
I'm excited for, man. Like I've already gone through and not ranked anything yet, but I've put everything down in front in words and letters and numbers, and then I'll obviously, it's gonna be a fun thing because like we were talking before we went live, is for me, I'm gonna be ranking these not just on stats and what the score was, but also what the game meant, and if I was there personally or not, because some of these games or whatever I'm going to have ranked higher, not only because of who they played, but when they played them, and then if I was sitting my butt in the stadium or not. And then 2, with us doing this top whatever 20 that we're going to do, I wouldn't mind doing top as each skill position or do some sort of rankings a few different times for different topics, whatever that will carry us over into the summer and up to fall camp.
Yeah, I think this series does open the door for more ranking series in the future, or if not immediate future. The one thing when obviously we linked up to make this podcast, we're talking Michigan, giving our weekly talks and stuff like that. And when I brought this idea up to you, you're like, I absolutely love it. This is my wheelhouse. Like, this is the kind of stuff I wanted to talk about, past Michigan stuff and kind of reminisce. And it was really fun. I actually did this week. I listed, I wrote down, basically, I went season by season. And I was critical, but at the same time, if I thought the game could make the list, I wrote it down, and I wanted to see how many games I could come up with. And I had 26, and we knew we wanted to come up with the top 20. So I got to narrow some down. I did end up taking, there were 2 losses on here specifically. I almost put a third. I ended up removing all the losses, but yeah, I think this is going to be really fun. I can't wait for it to debut.
100%.
I think that's a wrap, unless you got something else.
Oh, that's it, buddy. I think I might rank a few of these when we log off here, or whatever. But yeah, this we got spring practice right now. The combines this weekend. We got the draft next month. Like, football will be here before you know it, and it sucks this time of year in ways because obviously football is really, at least I can probably say, my favorite sport. I'm sure it probably is for you.
Yep.
But at least we have this year at least for XFL and the USFL to kind of give us,
tide us over.
Well, yeah, a little tickle in our underwear. So yeah, I'm all about it.
It is nice too. We talked a little hockey, we talked a little basketball. We got 2 different Michigan teams still alive, competing for a championship. Hockey more so than basketball, but they're both still alive. And the baseball season just got underway for Michigan. They've won some, they've lost some. It's fun. It's a nice way to move into another football season. So, and I said this recently when spring practice started. I said our pursuit for a national championship has to start somewhere. So hopefully it's this year. And yeah. Be on the lookout for this mini-series, guys. I can't wait for it. I know Dan's excited too. With that, I think we're out. Real talk. Go Blue.